Hi, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Plymouth. I am your host and your Town Manager, Derek Brindisi. Today, we're going to be talking all things recreation. It's been a few months, I think, Anne, since you've been on here. Anne Slusser is our Recreation Director, longtime Recreation Director. Thank you, Anne, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I think we were talking earlier, off stage, we were talking about how I think this is probably like your fourth time on this show. So
Yeah,
I think you lead the league in the number of times attending This Week in Plymouth. So
I was wondering if that's a record.
it will be. If it's not, we'll make it. So,
Okay.
So Anne, I know. So the reason why I wanted you to come on is because obviously the summer season is kind of come and gone. We're nearing the end of it, but there's so much else that's happening right now in recreation that I think it's really important for people to understand so they can participate in all the things that are happening under your leadership. So the first thing I want to talk about, and this is you're leading two processes, master planning processes. One is for Forges Field, and the other one is for the Hedges Pond Recreation Area. So I remember when I returned in 2022, you and I had a lot of conversations. We had conversations about Memorial Hall and the need to make improvements there. We had conversations about the Hedges Pond Recreation Area and how there's so much opportunity there, and we need to do more down there as well. And then Forges Field. So off the top of my head, I think that's about 150 acres thereabouts of athletic possibilities, right? Yeah. And so you and I, we sat down with some organizations that do sports, we'll just call it. Yeah. And they were talking about how they really were interested in Forges Field. And so, we were talking to these folks and saying, well, can you help us build some baseball fields, maybe some football fields? And then you and I said, stop. Like, let's really take a couple steps back and let's look at, from a 40,000 foot level, what do we want Forges Field to be in the future? And that's really what started the conversation about doing this master planning process for Forges Field. So that being said, can you kind of describe what's going on with the master planning process?
Yeah, sure. So we hired the company Activitus to come in and help us with the process. And they're doing both the Hedges study and the Forges study. So they're coming in. They started with us interviewing the town, talking about what our expectation is for it, what we'd like to do, especially at both locations. They're very different. Forges is very athletic, sports-oriented, pickleball courts, basketball, baseball, football, and then Hedges is more your conservation, like passive recreation. There's walking trails, there's hiking, there's the pond. At the front of the building, or at the front of the facility, there's the Great Hall. And that's kind of what our big focus is on, and what to do with that kind of space in that area. So right now we've been meeting with the different local organizations, youth leagues, groups that use Forges, groups that use Hedges, and trying to find out from them too what they would like to see both complexes turn into. And now we're in the third phase, I guess you could say, of the process, where we're sending out surveys now to the town, to the townspeople, to see what their interest is.
So let's talk about the surveys in just a couple of minutes, but I want to go back because I never thought of what you just said, that Forges is really focused on sports and athletics, right? Which is true. But then you also made a reference that Hedges is more of passive recreation, some, and we have a beach there, some swimming, I think we have a tennis court there. And so are you thinking that those two recreation areas will be used for different purposes? Because that's great, because then we can serve multiple different types of community groups or athletic groups with these two different spaces.
Yeah, I definitely see Forges as staying a primary sports tourism, athletic complex, that major athletic complex that everybody wants to come to. And I see Hedges being an environmental. We run our half-day playground program there. We run a Little Explorers program out of there, where little kids come in and they explore the nature around the facility. So I kind of see Hedges staying more that forest, conservation.
Right, so focus more on the environment, teaching our youth about what it means to understand the environment and things like that. So, yeah, I think that makes great sense, and it's something that I really never thought of until you just brought that up. So, and we think about our tax dollars really being stretched, right? Instead of having more and more athletic fields, we'll have a space for those children who don't participate so much in athletics. And I can tell you, my grandson, he's 5 years old, and he loves to be outdoors. We go kayaking here in town. We go fishing, which is different because that wasn't what I was when I was a kid. I played more sports, and so it just opens my eyes that there are like a cohort of children that they don't care so much about throwing a football or a baseball. They really care about enjoying nature. So I love that idea. I think it's great. So you mentioned there's a survey that's going to take place, and I think we can use today's episode to encourage folks to participate in these surveys so we can get that direct feedback from them. Can you describe those surveys?
Yeah, so there's obviously 2 different ones. There's 2 QR codes. We're going to send the surveys out through our recreation emails, also post them on our Facebook and our social medias, and then the town will also post it on their social medias. But it talks about what individuals would like to see out of both of these facilities. What do they like about the facilities? What do they like to see change? What are the facilities lacking? What other facilities have you been to in the state that you would like to compare Forges or Hedges to, that you'd like to see some of those amenities added that the other facilities have? There's about 4 parts to each survey that focus on different parts of what's important in the facilities and what they'd like to see.
And so folks, obviously right now they can go on the television and there's QR codes that are posted. So if you have your phone, you can go very close to the television and you can pull up the survey based upon which QR code that you link. So, and again, as you pointed out, and we'll advertise those on our social media and our website, and I assume through all the recreation groups as well that you typically work with.
Yep.
So once the surveys are completed, what happens after that?
So they're going to do a public meeting. So they'll have individuals and they'll invite the residents to come in and, talk about the surveys, talk about, in person what they'd like to see too. They'll probably be at some functions in the community, activists, trying to get people to take the surveys and really participate and get feedback from everybody, as many people as they can. Once those surveys are completed, they're going to take what they found in the surveys that people want, along with what we as a town and recreation and parks and everybody wants, and try to compile those and put together plans for these parks. And they're going to come up with a couple of different options for us based on everybody's feedback.
That's great, because I think one advantage that you have being the rec director is that there is a source of funding that specifically speaks to recreation, and that's our CPA, our Community Preservation Act dollars, right? So although oftentimes recently we've seen some of those CPC dollars go towards affordable housing, certainly a lot of money has gone over the last 2 decades into open space. Recently we just cut the ribbon on Stevens Field, which is about $5 million upgrades to Stevens Field, which looks great. So it's great because when these surveys are complete and the recommendations are complete, my hope is that you and I and Michelle Brady, Commissioner of Health and Human Services, can go and meet with the CPC members and talk to them about how important sports and recreation is to our community, in hopes that they'll support some of these improvements. But with that being said, we know we can't do everything all at once. Are you envisioning a final summary report that would allow us to take those recommendations in phases? Is that possible?
Yeah, that's my goal, is to have this project, especially a place like Forges, really phased out. What's necessary right away? What are some things that we definitely need to do right away? Whether it's bathrooms or facility, ground improvements, stuff like that, and do those first, and then come back with a couple of phases that maybe we'd love to see but aren't necessary right now. And same for Hedges. What do we need to do right now, and what can kind of be phased in over the next couple of years?
Right.
So at a place like Hedges, are we going to add a kayak docking station? Are we going to add rentals? Are we going to add a boardwalk? Things like that, where we maybe activate that waterfront a little bit more than the beach that we have right now.
Yeah, right. No, that's great. I haven't been to Hedges in a while. Actually, this summer I haven't been there at all. But last time I was there, it was last summer, and the water there just seems so crystal clear. Like, is the pond big enough for kayaking and boating and things like that nature?
Yeah,
It is.
and we
Okay.
definitely have quite a bit of people that go out there and kayak.
Oh,
And,
really? Okay.
Yep, and they'll kayak fish, stand-up paddleboard. Yeah.
What about one of the thoughts that was brought to my attention last week, and concerns I should say, is that if we continue to build on forges, we have to think about parking because there's already not enough parking. Is that true? Is that a true statement?
Yeah. I mean, if you've been there on a Saturday or Sunday, parking, especially around the soccer fields and the playground area, is really tough. You'll find a lot of cars parked on the road. I mean, if you think about it, there's 3 soccer fields right in the front of the facility with a really small parking lot. So it's definitely,
because I've been there so many times and I feel like I see a lot of asphalt. So I never realized that we had a parking problem over there. So again, I would imagine Activitas, right? Is that the name?
Activitas,
that whatever recommendations that they propose will also include like phased and expanded parking in order to accommodate expanding sports and recreation. Is that true?
Yeah, they actually went out and did traffic studies. So they set up traffic cams at both Hedges and Forges to kind of capture what's going on throughout the facility, how many cars are entering in, where they're going, what part of the parks they're visiting, to help us really understand like parking and the traffic flow to both facilities.
And that's whatever project we're working on, whether a private developer wants to bring in some new residential development, or we're talking about a playground, or a big box store, traffic is always the number one concern. So it's great to hear that we're actually thinking about traffic, because those are the types of things, when you don't do those studies, those are the types of things that will sink any proposal for funding. So it's great to know that we're thinking about traffic, we're thinking about parking, as we think about expanding these 2 areas. Not to take you too off course, but you think we could get the Plymouth Pilgrims back here to play some summer baseball?
I mean, that would be awesome if they came back. I've been here when they were here, and we actually, like my family had a player stay with us from Ohio. So I'm a big supporter of that. It was a really cool experience, and especially for my daughter to get to see like the games and have a player here.
Right.
We loved it. So
and they're not a part of the Cape Cod Baseball League. They were a part of a different program.
Yeah, they were part of the NGECL, New England, or NEGCL, sorry, the New England Baseball Group.
Gotcha. So. Okay. Because I remember when I was the assistant town manager, I'd gone to a couple of those games, and they were fun.
Yep.
Like the Cape Cod Baseball League, so very similar.
Yep.
So that is great to hear. And then, so Hedges, we'll focus on that as well. When do we think all of these reports will be complete?
So we are hoping to have a final master plan by Thanksgiving. We're hoping that Activitas by Thanksgiving will report to us what their final master plan recommendations are with all the different phases.
Interesting. Okay. We'll have to talk more about that. Warrant closes December 18th.
Yep.
Applications for CPC funding are due earlier than that, so we'll have to look at the timing to see if we can start at least phase 1 of some of these new programs. Yep. Now, did we think about? I forgot to ask. Did we think about like all-purpose fields in all this?
Do you mean like multi-purpose use, or are you thinking like AstroTurf,
both,
synthetic?
Multi-purpose, so lacrosse, soccer, football, all playing on the same space, but also when you have those, as you know, those many programs in the same space, you need something that's a little bit more durable.
Yeah, so my recommendation to Activitas when we started the project was to kind of take a look at the South High layout for their fields. They have a couple of fields set up that they're multi-purpose. They have a softball field on one end, a senior baseball field on the far end, and both of them can turn into multi-purpose soccer, field hockey, lacrosse fields with breakaway fences that you can take down. So definitely looking at that more multi-purpose, multi-use, not a single sport kind of facility field at Forges.
Yeah, and that would be great because my children are older, but I remember my youngest son playing travel basketball. I know your daughter plays travel hockey, but he played basketball and baseball, and we would travel all over New England for these types of locations. So, that could be a revenue generator at some point too. First and foremost, we want to make sure that our youth have the playing fields that they need. But as a secondary revenue source, hosting these types of tournaments on the weekends would be great, to kind of keep money flowing for future capital improvements. Have you guys talked anything about that?
Yeah, and it would be a great kind of setup. The youth groups have their space and have, the fields that they need dedicated to them, and then offering kind of that sports tourism, bringing in tournaments, bringing in different, organizations that will run tournaments. We've had lacrosse tournaments, soccer tournaments. We've hosted like state baseball final games. So, I mean, that facility, when people talk about it, like they love going there and how big it is.
Really?
But it definitely has its challenges.
Well, and I know some folks would say, no, we can't do that, but that becomes a revenue source that we never have to go back to the taxpayers and say, because in 10 years you'd have to do like one of those artificial trusts over again, right?
Right.
We would say, no, we have a dedicated source of revenue that we will always save. So when that field is coming due, we're able to replace it and don't have to go back to the taxpayers, don't have to go back to CPC and ask for that. So, and I know that Joe Goldberg over at Memorial Hall is looking to do the same by adding that $1 fee to ticket sales to put into a capital improvement account. So, I appreciate you and Joe and Michelle all thinking about creative ways so we don't have to continue to ask the taxpayers to fund these programs. So we look forward to these two reports and see what we can get out of those. But I know that, for me personally, that I always thought that Forges Field, really could be the place to play sports in all of New England, if we put our mind to it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm excited for it too.
So we got about 10-ish minutes. I want to talk about something that, and I'm going to just say robots, and you can explain to folks what that means. But I know you're like experimenting with robots in the fields. What are you doing?
So we are looking at purchasing a field lining robot.
Okay.
So it is GPS enabled. It goes out to the fields. You set it up on a tablet, and it goes out and it paints the fields for you. It saves on the amount of paint that you need to use. The lines last longer.
Really?
Less staff time to have to be out there painting them. They come out straight. So this robot goes out and it paints the fields for you when you set it up.
Okay. So sounds great.
Yep.
Have you guys played with it at all? Like beta tested it?
Yeah. So Sam and I, our recreation programmer, him and I went out and met a couple of different companies out on the fields at Forges and had them do some demonstrations for us. And they're really cool. They don't just line fields. You can put words out there with it. You can line parking lots with it. It's all GPS enabled, so you can lay out whatever you're looking for onto whatever spaces you want. And it'll set up these different fields, parking lots, and everything like that.
Have other cities or towns purchased this robot?
Yeah, there's a couple of different cities and towns out there that use them. And even the youth groups were actually working with companies to like rent them to come out and do the fields at Forges for them.
Really?
And so we're looking to kind of help the youth leagues in saving money by having it in-house.
Sure.
And kind of helping them out with that.
What does that look like? Is there a future in this robot, or are we just experimenting? Are we actually going to do this thing? That's the question.
We're doing this thing. We actually just ordered it the other day, so it should be shipping today or tomorrow. And the field lining robot will be out there probably next week.
Okay, so the $1 million question is how much?
It was a 6-year lease for $55,000, and it includes
total
paint for every year. Yep.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It includes paint, so they paint it. We send it back every winter. They winterize it. They send it back clean and updated.
Really?
Any software updates. It includes all the maintenance for it. So.
And I assume you're using Rec Revolving to fund this? Yeah.
Yep.
So again, not asking our taxpayers. This is using basically user fees that you have collected to put towards better use.
Yep. And it'll save us too in terms of our recreation revolving, in terms of the paint and the staff time that's out there. So this thing will go out there. The lines will last probably 2 to 3 weeks versus when we would manually do it. They'd only last a week and we'd have to go out there every week and do it.
So I know I've talked to Casey Kennedy, our communications coordinator, about this, and I asked her to connect with you to do This Week in Plymouth on the road, because I think it would be really cool when you guys go out there. Maybe not the first time.
Yeah.
The lines may not be so straight the first time, but at least the second time, to show some video footage of this robot in action and how it's saving our taxpayers dollars. So that would be cool.
Yeah, we're just waiting for it to come in and we'll connect with her to come out.
Good.
We're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool idea. And I know we have a number of other announcements. So again, a lot of things are happening over at Recreation Division, even though the summer is nearing the end. What's going on with fall registration? Can we share that information so folks that are tuning in home can go online and do their thing?
Yeah, so our fall registration just opened last week for Plymouth residents on August 4th. So they could go in and register tennis, basketball, STEM programs, yoga, Pilates, pickleball. All those programs are open for registration right now. They could go onto our website, PlymouthRec.com, or they can take a look at the brochure. That's getting mailed out to the residents in the next couple of days. And they'll be able to kind of open a book and read all the different programs we have going on.
So who does that brochure go to? All of our residents?
Yep,
Oh,
it gets
really?
mailed out to all the residents in Plymouth. They should check their mailboxes. Even PO boxes get them.
Really?
Yep.
And so that's going out next week?
It should be out, I'm guessing Saturday. It's getting dropped off at the post office tomorrow or Friday.
So brochures going out,
Yep.
announcing all the fall programs. If you don't get the brochure, you lose it. Go to PlymouthRec.com and you can sign up. But you mentioned pickleball. So I know when most people think of the recreation division, the work that you do, and everything we've talked about has really been about youth today. But pickleball, so this registration is more than just for youth. It's for folks of all ages in various types of events.
Yeah, so we have pickleball, obviously. For adults, we have intro to country line dancing.
Wow.
We have ballroom dancing. We have indoor pickleball at Memorial Hall, yoga, Pilates.
Wow.
We have so many different offerings. It's not just about the kids and it's not just about sports. We offer like STEM classes, learning how to build robots, youth cooking classes. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
I don't think people realize all the different programs and services the rec offers. And I know you work very closely with the Center of Active Living and try to encourage the folks that go there to engage in your recreational activities. So that is great to know. And since you talked about pickleball, I walk past Stevens Field on a regular basis, and those pickleball courts are always full.
Yeah.
Like there's always people waiting to get on the court.
Yep, and same at Forges.
Really?
We have about 80 to 100 people that sign up for every session every 6 weeks to be out on those courts. So.
I know you and I talked about this before, and this is definitely an aside, but I always wonder why we don't have more basketball courts. And I go down to Stevens Field, and nobody's ever playing basketball.
Yep.
So heavy tennis, heavy pickleball, less on the basketball, unfortunately.
Yeah. Tennis is popular too. We do a
Yeah.
lot of classes at Village Sports Club, learning how to play tennis. We offered 3 clinics this summer down at Stevens Field, and people love the new tennis courts down there.
Yeah, they're great.
It was awesome.
Good. So moving on to the Manamint Youth Center. What's happening this week, I think, right? Or is it
Next week, next Friday,
Okay.
we have our open house where parents could come in, check out the facility. They could drop their kids off. Grace Carrera is our youth center director. She'll be down there with some of our other seasonal and part-time staff with the facility open.
So you said next Friday.
The 22nd.
Okay, so Friday the 22nd, you're having an open house. What was the times again?
5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
5 p.m. to 8 p.m., Manamint Youth Center, September 22nd.
August 22nd.
August 22nd.
Yeah.
Jeez, okay. So August 22nd, Manamint Youth Center, open house, 5 to 8 p.m. Okay.
Yep. Pizza will be there, refreshments, some snacks.
Good.
But all the facility will be open. They can play Nintendo Switch. We're going to run basketball, some revenge dodgeball. We'll have arts and crafts going on. So.
And so again, is there a specific age for that open
6
house?
to 13.
6 to
So
13.
usually we have the kids that attend the youth center, 1st grade to 8th grade.
Okay, good. And the youth center is an after-school program, right? Okay, so whoever signs up after school, they get transported by bus?
Yeah, so a couple of the elementary schools and both middle schools offer transportation. So
Such a
Indian
great
Brook
program.
and Manamint Elementary both offer transportation right to the youth center. So does PCIS and Plymouth South Middle School.
Really?
And
so how long are they there for?
So as soon as they get dropped off, we open up at 3. So if kids don't go to any of those schools, they can be dropped off as early as 3. And typically it's open till 6.
Wow.
And then we offer some programming after 6 if parents need it. So we have a video game club that runs until about 7 o'clock. We run basketball right there afterwards. So.
Gaga? Do you guys do Gaga?
We do have an inflatable Gaga pit there.
I have no idea what it is, but my grandson talks about it all the time. So I think that's, and joking aside, for folks that maybe are new to this community, to know that their children can go to the Management Youth Center after school, because a lot of parents work till 4 or 5 o'clock at night.
Yep.
So the children will get bused to the youth center. They can pick them up when the parents get out of work. That is a phenomenal program. And I can tell you something, having worked in multiple cities and towns, most communities don't have that type of program. So
yep.
The folks that are raising children in this community should be really lucky.
Yep. And it's only $110 for the entire school year.
Really?
So they can come every day after school for $110 for the whole school year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So again, folks, if you're listening, Management Youth Center, open house, August 22nd.
5 to 8 p.m.
5 to 8 p.m. You should go check it out because $110 you can have your kids taken care of.
Yep.
So got a few more things. I know we talked about some programs that are coming up at Memorial Hall. You want to highlight some of those? I know there's some good shows that are coming.
Yeah, I mean, Amy Grant's coming back. She was here last year. She's coming back again. We have Toad the Wet Sprocket coming.
Okay.
Taste of Ireland is coming. Candlelight Orchestra. I don't know if you saw the pictures from it a couple of weeks ago, but it's this orchestra that sets up on the floor with candle lights all around them. It is an amazing setup.
Really?
And it's a really, really cool experience.
And how long have they been coming?
So this past show was their first show, but they'll be coming for 6 more shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
And see, and I know we're running short on time, and I don't want to get on a soapbox about Memorial Hall, but this is why we need Memorial Hall. Memorial Hall, all the different shows you just mentioned are great, and it brings vibrancy and activity to the downtown. It helps fill up our hotels, helps fill up our restaurants. But it also doubles as a recreation location, right? So in the winter months when it's cold in December and January and February, you're offering pickleball. You're offering all those different programs because we don't have a community center right now. So,
right.
And Steve Cole from the foundation says it best. He's like, this is our civic center. So we got more work to do. We have a big ask in front of CPC. We asked them for $15 million to help us renovate Memorial Hall so that we can keep things going. You know, Amy Grant coming is great, but we know that there are so many other opportunities out there we haven't tapped into. We just need that first-rate venue to make it happen. So
definitely,
we'll keep plugging away on that.
Yeah.
So before we break, any last messages?
No. Thanks for having me, and I hope I set the record.
Well, I think you did. We'll have to double check that with Dan in the back room there. Again, thanks everybody for coming, and thank you for coming and talk about all things recreation. What I want folks to take away is go to the website, www.plymouthRec.com. There, everything we talked about, you can find. Sign up for fall registration, learn more about the 2 master planning processes that were taking place, and then you can also go to the Memorial Hall website and learn about all the different entertainment shows that are coming this fall and through the winter. So until next time, thank you all for joining us. I am your town manager and your host, Derek Brindisi. Thank you.